Hey, what's up, y'all? It's me, Dr. Paul. We are going to remove a sticker from this Dragonlance Saga Book 1 today. We're going to be revisiting one of my most popular videos where I talk about the technique that I worked out to remove stickers like this. Now, this one's been on here a lot longer than the one that I removed before on camera. And my video editing skills have gotten a little better. So I'm going to be presenting hopefully a slightly more user-friendly video today. Just to review quickly, a lot of times we get comic books that have price tags like this on it. This is a paper sticker and it has adhesive, obviously. And there's actually several layers. There's a paper. If you really look at how these are manufactured, there's a primer, then there's the adhesive layer, and then of course we have the surface of our book. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to disrupt that adhesive layer and remove the sticker. Because we have paper that is kind of porous, we can use that to our advantage and we can have our solvent penetrate this surface. And that's the technique that I worked out. Again, quick review. You can use something like this. You can use a heat gun. There are other techniques. I have not found any of them to work better than what I'm going to show you today, which is a technique I worked out because I was frustrated that none of the others work well for me. This book here is interesting because it is the very first appearance of Dungeons and Dragons in a comic book format. Really neat Dragonlance Saga. It's actually 5 books total. The first 3 published by TSR, all by Roy Thomas and Thomas Yeats. The last 2 published by DC, very underprinted and go for a lot more. But this here, book 1, I'm going to go see Dungeons and Dragons this weekend. I'm pretty excited about it. And I thought in honor of that, I would see what we can do about removing this sticker. So I took a couple pictures beforehand that show the sticker and the condition of the cover, close up, maybe a little bit better than what you'll see in the video. So let's get started. What do you need to do this? So the biggest thing we need is some kind of solvent or adhesive remover. Now, before I've showed you how to use Undo, you can use Bestine as well. That's what I'm going to use today just because I happen to be out of Undo at the moment. I don't like to dispense the solvent directly from here because it's messy. So I have a small container and I have a syringe. That way I can very precisely place small amounts, less than a drop. You can easily deliver very precisely where you want to. So that's how I get the best results. What other things do we need? We need some kind of a scraper tool. This one I bought in a 5-pack off Amazon. This one is metal and it's Teflon coated. I'm going to try it out today. Also off Amazon. Cotton rounds for cleaning up when we're done. Absarine putty, sometimes useful for removal of just the little last smudge of adhesive that may be left on there, residue. I have Amazon affiliate links for all these things in the description below, so if you're interested in reproducing this, I appreciate you using those links. Helps out the channel a little bit. All right, let's get started. So I've gone ahead and I've taken a small amount of the Bestine. I've put it in this jar, which I think is maybe like a jam or jelly jar or something like that, that I just thought was a neat little useful shape. And so I cleaned it out and I use it for my comic book conservation now. So we're using a 3mm BD syringe with an 18 gauge needle. I think this is 1.25 inches long. Remember, needle safety. If you're not familiar, familiarize yourself with safety with using needles, but I'm going to be very cautious. I'm going to just get a couple of drops of this solvent in my syringe, okay, less than 1/2 mil. And then I'm going to apply it to the surface of this paper sticker price tag. And you see how precisely I can apply it. I can apply it just to the surface of the sticker, generally. Surface tension will keep it mostly on top of the sticker. You can see there's a little bit of bleed on the sides into the book. Not worried about that at all. You'll remember from my previous video that we're looking for the sticker to become somewhat translucent. And that starts off by the sticker darkening. You can see how it's starting to darken. You can see how there are areas where it's staying light or even lightening up as the Bastine evaporates. So I'm going to continue to apply, focused on the areas that are getting lighter. And we've used almost none of it. Just a few drops. As I mentioned before, this sticker and this technique depends on how long the sticker's been in place. My guess is this sticker's been in place a very long time. I don't remember exactly when this book was published. I think it was published in the 80s. So this sticker's probably been in place at least 30 years, maybe 35 years. And my guess is this is going to be more difficult to remove than that sticker that actually had a little date stamp on it, so we knew it had only been in place 4 months or something like that. All right, let's start to see if we can't get underneath this sticker. Look how well that worked. All right, now remember, I'm using almost no pressure at all. I'm really not. Just the barest of pressure to lift that. Okay. There's our sticker gone. Now, you recall, we're going to have sticker residue there. And I'm going to just change up my angle of attack here. I want to see if I can't remove some sticker residue. Let's see. I don't have any that's peeling off like I'm used to seeing it. But there's definitely a little bit of residue there. Let's apply a little bit more of our solvent. Now I'm using the incident light here, what CGC calls raking light. As I mentioned to you before in my earlier video, these solvents don't tend to mess with these inks. Now, can you smear them? Yes, you can smear these inks. There we go. Now I'm getting that adhesive to move a little bit. And I'm going to absorb it. So we got that little bit of adhesive that was sitting there to go into solution, into the Bastine. And then I just use this cotton round to absorb it. Now I can see from the incident light that we have very little left. We got a little bit in this area here. We've got a little bit in this area here. I'm just going to try to get them mobilized with this scraper. And I'm going to try to stay out of this darker ink area, because if you do get ink run, it tends to be, it's just more obvious on darker ink areas. So I'm going to try to keep the solvent off that area. As we discussed before, I do not want to smear this. I don't want to rub this. I want to just dab. And notice I got myself a new fresh cotton round. They are inexpensive. All right, now I'm going to let that completely dry. I'm going to take another dry, fresh cotton round. I'm going to place it underneath this page. I don't think there's any real penetration because this is like a pretty thick cardstock. But that'll just allow a little bit of evaporation, the diffusion to occur through both surfaces. So it may give us the ability to let that dry out a little bit quicker. Once that's completely dry, we'll have another look at it and we'll see if there's any adhesive left and we'll deal with it then. All right, I let this completely evaporate, the Bestine. It doesn't take that long off a normal comic cover. Bestine's quite volatile. I don't mean volatile like your ex. I mean, in the scientific sense, it evaporates quite readily. You'll see we have like a shadow here. It looks like it might still be wet, but I can assure you it isn't. And we also have, remember I put this in there just to give it a little ability to diffuse through either side. We also have a little bit of dullness here. See that? And I mentioned that I thought that sticker had been on a really long time, right? So I'm pretty sure that sticker was from new. This is the first printing in '87. So it's been on there 35 years, something like that. We may end up with a stain here that we can't do anything about. Nevertheless, I think it's better without the sticker than with. And we're going to try to get rid of some of that dullness now. So I'm going to work on that. And I'm going to start, as usual, with just the least invasive materials. So I just have a cotton round here. And I'm just going to gently rub and see what happens. See if I remove any of that. Trying to get a sense for whether or not it's sort of sticky like adhesive residue. I think it kind of is. Okay, so I don't see that by itself doing much. I'm going to go to this Absarine putty, like we talked about before. I'm going to use this material not exactly the way you usually see it used, because my experience in removing adhesive residue, it's not successful in kind of the traditional way. So the traditional way that it's suggested that you use this, you make kind of a log and you roll it across like this, right? I've done this before, I've tried this before, and it really does not remove that residue. I'll show you in the raking light. It hasn't done anything. The cotton round hasn't done anything. What I do is I make myself something more like a ball and I drag it across here. And as I drag it across, you see that it rolls up like this. My experience is this is better in removing that adhesive residue and not damaging the book than the roll method or any of the other things you might have seen. And I think it's actually almost completely removed already. Almost there. Let's see now if I can just buff it a little bit. Yeah. All right, excellent. So I just buffed it a little bit. Let me give you a good view of it. See now? There's literally no evidence of that surface dullness we had. You'll note there is a very slight indentation around here. There's also a finger bend right here. But there's a very slight indentation where that sticker sat for 35 years. Right? That's an actual indentation of the paper. We probably could maybe address that with a press if it was worth doing. You'll note we have a few other bends. This is a cardstock cover. I haven't done anything else to clean it. It's got a few other little problems. It might be worth attempting to press that, but that's maybe a subject for another video. For today, I just wanted to show you that technique. So we were reasonably successful with this, and I think this is probably what you can expect from a sticker that's been applied for 30, 35 years. We have this shadow here, okay? That's adhesive that's penetrated into the paper, and it's caused some yellowing. Could that be removed with a deeper solvent bath? Maybe, but you run the risk of moving some inks around and other issues. I'm not sure that it's worth it, especially on this book. We were just trying to get ourselves a nicer looking copy here. I think we accomplished that. I think this is much nicer without the sticker. I don't think that sticker gave this book any special provenance, and so I think I would definitely prefer this collectible without that sticker on it. So you saw the technique again. We did it with the cross-gen primer, and this just slightly different techniques here necessary for a slightly different age of sticker and a slightly different kind of book, being a cardstock, more like a graphic novel. Again, I very much appreciate you joining me today. Glad to have you along for the journey on the Liberty Hill Comics channel. All of the materials that I used, for the most part, are available in link in the description. Appreciate you using that link. They are affiliate links, full disclosure. Hope you enjoyed this video as a supplement to my last video on sticker removal from comic books. Love to hear from you. If you have a different way that you do this, if you have a tip or trick or comment, love to hear from you. Appreciate everybody that likes and subscribes especially, but appreciate all the viewers out there. Thank you, and until next time, take care of one another.